In a previous video, we took a look at the different accounts receivable invoice options offered by K9. In this video, we're going to go ahead and take a look at receipt options, basically receiving money from the customer for those invoices or just as a credit. So basically, you're going to go into financials, accounts receivable, and receipts. Now, there are some prerequisites to using the receipts form that we covered in a separate video, such as setting up cashier and bank accounts and things like that. So basically, the first thing we want to do is select that customer that we're going to, or vendor rather, that we're going to receive money from. You can receive money from a vendor, let's say for refunds or for credits, things like that. So it is an option in our receipts form. So I chose the customer, and the second thing I'm going to choose is the bank or cashier account. Now, we covered this in the bank and cashier video, but basically think of how you're receiving the money, and that'll determine where it's going to go. If you're receiving something physical, such as cash or a check, that you have to deposit to your bank, you want to make sure that you create a cashier account. That's basically a box in your desk that holds the money until you go ahead and deposit it. If it's something like an electronic funds transfer, you may want to receive it directly into your bank because those funds are pretty much available immediately. Just as a side note, if you use a credit card processor, let's say even K9's credit card processor, different processors deposit money differently. So let's say you have a credit card company that will give you a lump sum deposit. You may want to create a cashier for that and then create a daily deposit to match theirs. So things like that you'll have to work out with your provider and how you want to work internally. In this case, I'm going to receive a check from them, so I'm going to put it directly into my primary cashier. Now, you'll see over here the list of open invoices and different options over here. So you have your original amount in the invoice and an open balance. Take a look at this one, for example. The original invoice was $4,800 and change, and now they owe me $609. That tells me that they've already made a partial payment against it. But in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and mark off one of the lower invoices over here with the check that they provided. So I check the box, I hit save. I'm not going to apply any discounts, but I can if I want to. So on the payments tab over here, you'll see the different payment options available. Okay, especially you'll see credit card K9 and credit card. If you have our provider enabled, you'll have this option available, and it'll process credit card stored on file for the customer. But in this case, they're going to go ahead and they're going to give me a check, and they're going to give me a check for $27.82. Now, if they had given me less, if they're giving me, let's say, $25, and let's go ahead and try that out over here just to show you what happens, and I move over here, you'll see that my balance due is a negative $2.82 because they haven't met their obligation over here. So I can receive more money, but I cannot receive less. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and receive the exact amount over here. Okay, so my balance due is 0. So now, before I finalize this, I want to take a look and make sure everything is okay. If I need to put any notes or remarks, I'll go ahead and do that. But basically, you see right now my receipt is a temporary receipt because it starts with a T. It's in draft status, and I don't have a journal entry. So I can still make whatever changes I like. Once I go ahead and create a final status over here, it gives it an actual receipt number and opens a journal entry. At this point, of course, changes are locked. And if we go into the journal entry, we can see the pattern that it created and what was involved. And again, you can go ahead and modify this pattern using the default journal entry patterns. Okay. So now let's say they use the credit card processor from K9. So let's create a new receipt over here. And same thing, I'll choose a customer. Let's use the same one over there. Here we go. Cashier account. Again, because I'm going to receive this in a bulk amount, I'm going to receive it still to a cashier account. And I'm going to go ahead and mark off this invoice. Okay. And there are my payments over there. I'll see that he owes me $481.50. I'll choose credit card K9. Okay. I'll put in the amount over there. Okay. When I go to references here, these are the numbers that I have stored for this customer. Okay. I also have the ability to add a credit card over here, and it'll give me the pop-up. Okay, to create a new card. This does save it completely PCI compliant on K9. Okay, or in this case, I'm just going to use an existing card that they have. And once I go ahead and hit save, I'll have my balance due at 0. And the same thing like the other transaction, I'll go ahead and finalize this. Now the difference over here is in the background, it's contacting the credit card provider and it's running their credit card. If everything is fine, you'll get an approved status, you'll get a reference number, and you'll get the same journal entry just like before. If something happens and that credit card fails for whatever reason, you get a failure and you'll get a reference code that you can follow up with the credit card company. Okay? So that's essentially receiving money within K9 based on an invoice. Okay, you can again once you receive money from a customer without an invoice, same thing. I'm going to go ahead and choose my customer. I'm going to ignore. I receive into a cashier account. I'm going to ignore the flag invoices for payments. I'm just going to go ahead and receive a cash payment for them. Maybe they're giving me a deposit on work, let's say. So I'm going to go ahead and receive $2,000. Okay, and I'll go ahead and finalize this entry, and there we go. So now what happens is the customer has a credit on their account for $2,000. If I run a statement or any financial transaction document, I'll see that on there.